recognize just where we came from. Just where we came from and how hard it was to get in. We had a whole lot of times, a whole lot of obstacles thrown in our face. And every time I look at that Rick Hendricks Chevrolet place, I want to get a stick of dynamite and blow it up. Just because it's there. They came through with that lie about urban renewal and took out all of our black entrepreneurs, our newspaper, our electrical shop, our 2 theaters, our health places.
My mother worked in Hayti for many years. She worked at the Regal Theater for many years.
Yeah.
And she was just a fixture in Hayti. All of the singers that came to town, gospel as well as secular singers, they all knew her. They all came to our house to eat.
Yeah.
She also worked at the donut shop for a few years. The donut shop was next door to the Regal Theater. She let almost every child in Durham who didn't have the 9 cents needed to get in, she let them in free. Everybody loved her. Everybody loved her. That's exactly right. Well, Hayti was truly a family. The people that worked there and had their businesses there took care of each other and loved each other.
All right.
And it was truly a loss. It was pitiful.
Because you could come from Fayetteville Street, Pearson Town, all the way down to the underbridge where Pine Street changed over to Roxbury Street, and know every shop, every person. Yep. Somebody had a filling station, somebody had a beauty parlor,
Yes.
somebody had a restaurant, and you knew them all. And you could walk and be safe because they say, I saw your child, you know. And well, we had a group, we couldn't go nowhere unless we went in a group.
That's right.
We walked from, we went to Whittier when it was Whittier Elementary School, we went to Whittier when it was Whittier Junior High School, and then we went to Hillside, and then to Central, all within our neighborhood.
Out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer. Americans who sent a message to the world that we have never been just a collection of individuals or a collection of red states and blue states. We are and always will be the United States of America.
It was an amazing night, November 4th, 2008. Barack Obama had made history. So what does change mean for African Americans? While there have been many firsts for African Americans over the past 50 years, the underlying reality is sobering.
In a study released in 2002 by the Pew Hispanic Center in Washington, D.C., researchers determined the median net worth for African American households is less than 10% of whites who earn a median net worth of $88,651. The median net worth of Hispanics was $7,932. African American households lagged behind at $5,988. The unemployment rate for blacks is more than twice that of whites and about 40% higher than Hispanics. So what does it mean to be African American today as compared to being a Negro 70 years ago?
Up through the, I would say, early 1950s, 1960s, even into the 1970s, our community still functioned in a sheltered type of marketplace where, because we for years in this country could not openly purchase goods and services or have access to the goods and services as all others did, then we had to, make way for ourselves. And we were a very creative people, a very ingenious people, very coming together type people, that I think the thing about us was, then and still to a large extent now, we understood that faith was believing in spite of the evidence. And so we acted irrespective of what that evidence was.
Although the institution of slavery had ended in 1865, the concept of freedom was still defined by other factors, including the influence of those in political power, the state of America's economy, and the extent of black power. If blacks were going to succeed in getting jobs, owning land, and civil rights, they would have to do something about it themselves.
In the years after the Civil War, former slaves all over the South looked forward to new independence and the prospect of great opportunities ahead. Many migrated to Durham, North Carolina, to take advantage of the booming tobacco and textile industries. Durham quickly developed a vibrant black community, the center of which was an area known as Hayti. From the 1800s to the 1900s, Black Durham prospered both politically and socially as a self-reliant community.
Talk about Jim Crowism, and that African Americans had to create their own type of institutions and their own economy, and they became very autonomous in doing that. After creating all of that in the 50s and 60s, there was an attempt to say there's a need for a freeway to come in to basically improve the commercialization of Durham. That was devastating because African Americans basically worked, created those types of businesses. They had a clientele that supported them directly. By opening up that type of commercialization, you could go other places. And we find that African Americans did go other places. What we do find in the X generation today is that many of them don't stand from which they've come. And it is our responsibility, like you're doing now, to make them understand that they're standing on the shoulders of Spaldings, of tobacco workers, of mill workers, and as a result, they have a responsibility to give back to the community, to develop the sense of racial pride, to understand that their future is being directed by individuals who understood what their role was, to give back to the community at any cost and support the community. That, to me, is really the essence of what Hayti is about.
It was a great compilation of individuals that came from very diverse places, as Durham talks about itself today, one of the most diverse cities in the United States of America, with very unique stories, willing to work with one another to bring about a very progressive change that is so very much needed. So I would say again, as C.C. Spalding, former president of North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company, once said, no home is complete unless it has an insurance policy by North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company. So I would say no person, young person especially, would be whole or complete unless they know about the history and heritage of Hayti.
I believe it is imperative for our spiritual, emotional, and intellectual growth that we take an honest look at our past and begin to assess our experiences, both good and bad, for our children, the next generation. We need to think about what legacy we will leave behind for them. Hayti, the heritage, the legacy of Black America, explores the rich African American experience in Durham, North Carolina. The Hayti community specifically during the city's first 100 years. We ask, how did a community filled with economic power and skill of innovation lose economic viability and social relevancy.